This is the AEW Dynamite July 16, 2025 full show results video which takes place at Aragon Ballroom in Chicago, Illinois. The show opens up with Tony Schiavone standing in the ring and he welcomes viewers to Dynamite before introducing Hangman Adam Page as the new AEW World Champion. Page starts off by saying some of those chanting may have missed the point because the truth is the fans deserve it. Page then says they are the ones who support a grassroots movement in pro wrestling and they are the reason for all elite wrestling. Page then says the fans deserve to see this championship and to have someone to hold it and carry it, and someone that understands the connection and has more gratitude for the fans than they could ever know. Page then talks about going into a war, 100 battles that have gone on before him and how some of them who fell before have not made it back. Page then takes some time to thank these men, including Orange Cassidy, Jay White, Adam Copeland, The Ops, Bryan Danielson, and Darby Allin. Page then gives thanks to Will Ospreay, then thanks Swerve Strickland for helping him despite their storied history with one another, then says All In Weekend was full of highs, lows, blood and tears. Page then says if you want to know what kind of man he is, you can take a look at him because he is the champion of the world. Page then shows off the AEW World Championship to a big ovation from the crowd before leaving the ring. Then we saw a match between Mascara Dorada versus Kyle Fletcher, and the result of this match was Kyle Fletcher defeated Mascara Dorada by pinfall with a brainbuster. After the match, Fletcher kneels down and drools while talking about how Dustin Rhodes ruined the biggest moment of his life. Fletcher then says his life's mission is to take everything from Rhodes, and Schiavone then says new TNT champion Dustin Rhodes will appear on Saturday's Collision. We then get video footage from earlier today of the Young Bucks arriving backstage and being greeted by Renee Paquette, who asks how they feel about no longer being EVPs. They then blow her off, then the Bucks cross paths with Marina Shafir. Matthew then asks how she was doing, then Shafir shakes her head and walks past them. The Bucks then arrive at their dressing room. A crew member was crossing out the EVP title on their locker room door sign. Ricochet, Bishop Count and Toa Liona then show up and Ricochet says it sucks to be the Bucks and does his laugh before walking away. Don Callis then shows up and says he thought it was an abomination that the company was treating them like a couple of jobbers for losing one match. Callis then says he knew they had their issues in the past, but maybe they can do business now that Kenny Omega is dead. Matthew then tells him they will never join his family, but he thought they would work things out. Then Callis and the Bucks hug. We then see a promo from the Hurt Syndicate after All In, Texas, with MVP begging for one of these legendary tag teams to step up and try and take the tag titles from the Syndicate. MJF, meanwhile, congratulates Hangman Adam Page on winning the world title, then says it would have been easy to beat Dictator John, but with Page he has something to prove. He then says he's the best before saying he doesn't even need his title contract to get what belongs to him. MJF then says the contract is just a break glass in case of emergency deal. He then wraps it up by saying that nice guys finish last before MVP interjects to say they're not nice at all. Then we saw an all-star 8-man tag team match between Bandito, Jetspeed, and Brody King versus Josh Alexander, Hechicero and the Young Bucks, and the result of this match was Josh Alexander, Hechicero, and the Young Bucks won the match by submission when Hechicero locked Bandito in a sleeper hold. After a commercial break, Adam Copeland makes his entrance, and Copeland says he wants to address a few questions, the first being did he come down to save Christian Cage? Copeland then says no because Cage is an a-hole and he has tried to make him miserable. Copeland then reminds the fans that Cage wanted to cripple him and also reminds the fans that Cage cashed in his world title contract and got choked out. Copeland then tells Cage that verbatim is going to happen to him, but now he's just hoping Cage is watching and pulling his cranium out of his ass, then says he came back at All In to go after FTR. Copeland then says 5 years ago he was cleared to return to the ring again and the first two men he called about it were FTR, who helped him get back in shape. Copeland then says they talked even back then about going after trios titles as rated FTR, and 2 weeks after they finally started getting going they started complaining. Copeland then says they put him on the shelf for 4 months, time that he doesn't have as every time he gets in the ring may be his last. Copeland then says he came back after that time for one thing and that is to end FTR. FTR's music then hits and Stokely Hathaway appears with 4 security guards to protect himself. He then says if Copeland comes anywhere near FTR, interferes in their matches or tries to share their hands, then he will be fired. Copeland then responds by telling Hathaway that he never said anything about getting near him. Hathaway then tells one of the security guards to go after Copeland, but Copeland quickly nails him and takes out the other security guard. The 2 other security guards outside the ring then run to the back and Cope hits a spear on Hathaway. Copeland's music then hits as he mouths off with Hathaway before posing for the crowd in the corner. Then we saw a $100,000 four-way fight between Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander versus the Toxic Spider Thekla versus Queen Aminata. In the end, Sky Blue then makes her way down the ramp and hops on the apron to distract the referee while Julia Hart appears from behind Aminata to spray her with the mist, then Thekla hits her finisher for the win the match by pinfall. After the match, Julia Hart and Sky Blue join Thekla in the ring for a celebration, indicating that an alliance has been formed. AEW Women's World Champion Timeless Toni Storm's music then hits and she appears at the balcony. Storm starts off by introducing herself as a number of things before reminding the fans that she is still champion. She then thanks Mercedes for going all in with her, saying they did everything they set out to do, but in case she forgot, she did say that if Mercedes made one small mistake she would eat her alive. Storm then tells Mercedes that she was delicious, then tells Mercedes if she wants to come back for seconds and she is sure that Mercedes will, then from her lips to Mercedes, this buffet is always open. Storm then says Luther got injured and talks about what happened and how he needs reattachment surgery. Storm then says there are so many people with the knives and she ought to be careful now because this is the big one in TN, this company, in this business and on this planet. Storm is then interrupted by Athena, who introduces herself as, among other things, the Forever Champion. Athena then says no one will remember Storm because soon she will be the Forever AEW Champion. She then talks about taking out Mina, meaning there's no one to save Storm when she cashes in her contract to get her shot. She then teases possibilities on when that match will happen and we head back to ringside where Storm promises to be ready because she is timeless. We then head to the back, where the patriarchy addresses taking out Christian Cage et al. In Texas. Sabian then talks about no longer being underneath a patriarch but alongside a matriarch as Mother Wayne jokes about Cage being unable to get up by himself on Saturday. Nick Wayne then runs down Cage for going his own way instead of following the plans they set out for themselves. He then reminds Christian that he is the youngest champion in AEW history and the question is how many world titles is he going to win? Wayne then asks how much better can he possibly be, then says Cage created this monster and he and AEW will have to deal with it as he becomes the new face of TNT, the new face of AEW, now and forever. Then we saw a match between Okada versus Rafael Quintero, and the result of this match was Okada defeated Rafael Quintero by pinfall with a Rainmaker. After the match, Callis gives the mic to Okada, who calls out Swerve Strickland for screwing the Young Bucks et al. In Texas. Swerve Strickland's music then hits and he makes his way down to the ring with Prince Nana to confront Okada. Strickland tells Okada that he did do that and asks Okada what he is going to do about it before leaving the ring. In the main event of the show, we saw a trios match between the Death Riders versus Hangman Adam Page, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Mark Briscoe, and the result of this match was Hangman Adam Page, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Mark Briscoe defeated Death Riders by pinfall with a jackknife cover from Hangman on Claudio. After the match, there is no celebration as the Death Riders go after the babyfaces. The beatdown is then interrupted as everyone's attention is drawn to the highest row of the ballroom, where we see Darby Allin staring down Moxley who gets laid out with a buckshot lariat by Page. The Death Riders then clear out of the ring, which allows Page and his friends to celebrate and the show goes off the air. How much you would rate this week's AEW Dynamite show? Tell me in the comments, and thanks for watching.